Very good. And welcome to Storytime. Pretty much every week at about this time, as close to 7 o'clock as we can make it. The graduate fiction seminar at Southern Illinois University Carbondale MFA program will be presenting 50 minutes worth of story time, meaning that folks will present their work. Some of it will be analog work and reading, some of it will be hybrid work, hybrid digital analog, and some of it will be entirely analog. And we hope folks will join us each week. We hope folks will take part in the chat and let us know what you think, your unvarnished opinions. I know that's a really dangerous thing to ask for on the internet, but I really want we really want to see if we're communicating with an audience here. This is for the class. It's an experience of actually having or trying to gather or and then to maintain and grow a real audience. So thank you for joining us. And who will go first?
I can go first.
Great, very good. Do
Right.
you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're going to do, and then put on
Yeah.
a show?
Yeah, sure. So I am Kevin Serrano Chavarria. I am a second year MFA. The story that I am going to do right now is the third story that I worked on this week. The first two didn't pan out. First one, I had a really great one, but the props that I wanted to get shipped did not get here on time. The second one, my computer did not want to work with me while I was editing it, so I just did this one fairly hurriedly, although I think it's still pretty good. Um, in the time that I had. Um, so it's very experimental. If you're familiar with my work at all, it's very conceptual. It's very much what I do. Um, Fairly short too. I will link it here, and someone can like share it on their screen with everyone else because I'd rather not risk my computer doing that. But that's the YouTube video.
Okay, stand by.
All
And
right.
so, will you be talking under the video, or
You can all just watch it,
okay?
and then I can talk about it after if you'd all like.
Very good. Stand by. I'll share it out.
All right.
Let me make sure I'm spotlighted because I'm not on everyone. And share screen. Optimize for video clip. All right. Has everyone got that?
Got
Is
it.
the video shared out? Great. Here it goes.
Is the sound being shared?
It, it should be, yeah. I clicked the button. Oh, nope. Totally my fault. Totally my fault. Sorry. Well, I won't even explain. It's just, it's my fault because I'm a moron. All right, here we go.
It's an icy day. put your eyelashes here and find the song escaping away and find what remains anticipated. To come back and see the choppy rattles of the sea. Dust on the spaghetti western making bank, exploiting and creating sweatshop addiction. Humbled by steel beams, the 20th anniversary. As we connect our numbered hearts, we imagine a sound from imagined letters. Small and unseen, or big and ignored.
Very good. Thank you for starting out our stream this evening. Who's
You're
next?
welcome.
I can go.
Please do.
So I've got, I don't know how to call it. It could be a poem, it could be flash fiction, but I have the Microsoft document and I have recorded myself reading it. So do you want to share that, Pinkley?
I can do so.
All right. So this is the written. So I mean, if you can understand me, just follow the Microsoft document. But this is the actual audio file.
Oh, hang on, I'm having just a. Oh, okay, there we go.
So you can follow along. When I'm
Yeah,
like,
I need to get into my downloads. Sorry. And sorry about the editing marks. Is that shared out? Hello?
yeah.
Yes.
Remember, yeah, I can't see anybody when I'm sharing, so if you don't reassure me, I'll freak out.
So I also shared an audio file, Pinkley, that would just.
What's that?
I shared an audio file.
Oh, you shared an audio file. My
Yeah, I shared both.
apologies.
Yeah, I actually shared both. No, you're right. I shared both. Just for everyone to follow along.
Okay.
Well, the audio file would just be like me blurbing.
Let's see. So I see the Word file. Oh, okay. So the one that's that's a little over a megabyte. Got it. Yep. Okay. So now I'll open them both. But you want the, let's see. So
I guess everyone could follow along with the Word document if you can't understand, but like we can just play the audio file if that's possible.
okay. I'm just trying to, I shouldn't have jumped off of OBS because I could share both windows easily, but it is difficult to.
Chasing sleep.
All right. Now I want to make sure that you have the audio. here, share multiple. Okay, so I want to share. Why are all this, my screens are not all. Pardon me for not being better at this. This is the kind of thing I really hope that we will be able to get past.
Can you share the audio and we just download the file and read along?
Yes, I've got the audio is no big deal. It is the why. Stand by a moment. Okay, that
on a hot summer night in Gaza. It's a scorcher of a summer night in Gaza, and you lay naked in bed, sweating buckets in the dark. Hands on your crotch, you touch yourself once, then twice, but can't settle to sleep. Your mother shouts something from the kitchen. Your father shouts back at her from the bedroom. A dog barks outside, and a few others join in from a distance. The garbage truck brakes next to your window. The orange light pours in from behind the white curtains. You hear the thunderous lid bin opening, trash compressing, two garbage men plotting to sneak the fuck out and leave everything behind, including their wives and kids. A baby cries faintly in the distance. A sleep-deprived mother shouts at the baby, and the baby screams back. The father shouts at the mother for shouting at the baby and waking him up. A door opens and slams shut. A car engine rumbles and the mother weeps. You lean on the floor and pick up your boxers. You step outside the room, into the kitchen, out of the back door, into the summer night. The baby is crying, the mother is weeping, the fans are whirring, and the buzzing insects are having a field day. You strike a match but hesitate to light a cigarette. You stare at the flame going out and think about sneaking across the Egyptian or the Israeli border. You watch yourself crawling through the dirt barriers, climbing the barbed wires and running for your life. You're running away from a watchtower, the dark brown jeeps, the angry armed soldiers, your nagging mother, your feeble father, and your blood-sucking boss. You're running away from a woman that you love but can't afford her dowry. You're running away from a war-torn strip of sand that you were born in but never called home. A loud explosion shakes your body, freaks out the crying baby, and numbs the buzzing insects. You stare at an orange mushroom smoke blasting from a distance and wish it was coming out of your house instead. Lucky them, you tell yourself. Hopefully next time we'll get lucky too. You keep running inside your head until the watchtower light finds you, until the bullets swoosh past your ears. You hear another blast and the cigarette falls from your lips. You pick it up and strike another match. You hesitate to light the cigarette again and stare at the flame going out and think about touching yourself just one more time. Maybe this time, just maybe, sleep will finally come your way.
Folks were able to hear and see that? Okay, good. That was the quickest I have ever put together an OBS scene. And once you get used to doing that, you will see that I really accomplished something there. So, all right, very good. Thank you. And who's next? I want to hear from as many folks as we possibly can.
I can go.
You can go.
I have a video that hopefully I can share. Oh, I actually wonder if I need to have it open first. Let's see here. Here. Okay, now I think I can do it.
How many hours of our lives have we now spent trying to start things streaming?
Yeah.
Got it.
While we were homeless and living in campgrounds, we didn't have much of a plan.
Can you
We
push
went
the
day to
volume
day,
a little
week
bit?
to week, not always knowing where we'd be staying, what we'd be eating, or how we'd pay for things. So I said, let's sign up with a temp agency. After signing up, we could have called in each day to see what work was available, but we didn't have a phone. So we'd have to show up at the agency early in the morning and put our names on the available list and just sit and wait. Easy enough, I thought. The temp office was located in a strip mall and made up of a bare room with tile floors, stiff chairs, a check-in counter, and a plastic water cooler. Some days we could sit all morning, only not to be called, at which point we'd leave, the day mostly wasted, to have to come back the next day and try again. Finally, they had a job for my wife and I to go to work in a fiberglass panel factory. Our first day, we showed up at a large factory and met with the production manager. The crew leader then brought us out to the cavernous production area and showed us what we'd be doing, stacking rigid foam-filled fiberglass insulation panels as they came off the production line. Once the desired amount was stacked, we were to cover the stack with a giant plastic bag and slide the stack to the wrapping station. That was it. Before we got started, we stood with a group of guys who were rubbing citrusy-smelling foam on their arms. This foam, we were told, was to prevent the airborne fiberglass from sticking to our skin too much. It would keep the itch down, so we slathered the orangey foam on too. Without word or warning, the guys moved into position and we just followed. I like having things explained, but here no one said a thing. We had to learn our jobs quickly, be ready to speed up if the line sped up or wait if the line stopped. And besides, the facility was loud from the humming of the dryers and belts and machines, and hot from the heaters that cured the panel foam. Any communication here was done in shouts. After a few hours, a buzzer went off. With that, everyone moved to the curing line. All the workers grabbed long-handled metal scrapers and split in half, standing on either side of the belt. I watched as the workers leaned over, heads hanging under the dryers that were used to bloom the panel foam, reaching in as far as they could into the narrow space along the center of the metal behemoth. Everyone was scraping maniacally. I followed right along, even though I had no idea what we were doing. After a few rounds of this, my dull brain pieced together that there was apparently too much glue built up on the metal conveyor belts, and the line stopped so we could scrape and loosen the glue. There was no magic wand for this, or rather, we were the magic wand for this. Time to apply sheer brute force to the problem. Unfortunately, sheer brute force is not my strong suit, and my arms were really too short to do any good, but whether my efforts worked or not, I scraped furiously, just like everyone else. And again, without warning, the commotion stopped and everyone returned to their stations. My wife and I worked this job day after day for several weeks. We showed up on time and ready. We watched, listened, did our jobs, and kept our mouths shut. Even when the crew bitched about the slow guy who no one liked, who kept stopping the line, or the line manager who couldn't stop coughing from all the years of breathing fiberglass into his lungs, or the QC guy who walked around with his measuring tape checking everyone's work. We brought ramen soup for lunch and sat and ate outside on the grass next to the factory. We bought ourselves coveralls at the local military surplus so we didn't have to itch so much or bring the mess back with us on our clothes. We were even eventually allowed to use the stack wrapping machine, which was like a giant automated saran wrapper. We got to work side by side and shot each other smiles, sideways glances, and giggles every once in a while. The week before Christmas, we continued to show up to work even though the crew seemed to dwindle. The factory would be closed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and on the 23rd, my wife and I were called into the boss's office. The production manager presented us with our final checks. This meant we wouldn't be needed anymore, which was a little disappointing. Then the manager said he had one other thing for us, and he presented us each with a full-sized spiral-cut ham, and we said, "A whole ham? Are you sure?" And we smiled from ear to ear. We told the manager that we lived together and really only needed one, but he insisted. All the other workers got one, and so should we. When we got back to the campground that night, we showed off our hard-won hams to our husband and son and gave the extra one away to another traveling couple living in the campground. Later, the temp agency told us we weren't even supposed to be at the factory that week before Christmas, but they let us work anyway because we kept showing up, and no one had the heart to tell us to leave. So because we were hardworking morons without a phone, we got free Christmas hams.
Nobody had the heart to tell you. Okay, who's next? Maggie.
I can go next. So I have to share my screen with you guys because I have a Twine game.
Oh, great.
Let's see.
Where did you learn to use Twine?
For your class last year.
Okay.
Something. I don't know if I presented it, but okay. It's off. All right, so there's a weird thing happening with it where the options for like the selections show up before the actual text dialogue. So the text is scrolling. I guess just ignore the things at the bottom until they come into play. All right, should I read it or you guys like?
Yeah, no, read it out loud.
Okay. Hi, traveler. Long time no see. Although see is subjective, isn't it? Some of us don't have eyes, you know? Some of us see the way moles do, or bananas, or stars. What is see, anyway? All right, and then there are two options. So the first is to see is to know, not like a scholar, but like a mother, like you hold something in your hands, learn the weight and texture of it, the idiosyncrasies, the soul. See is understand. And the second option is dunno.
I would definitely go with dunno, but take a vote. You can't see anybody, so.
No.
No.
All right.
Ditto.
Okay.
This is reminiscent of our class P.
Yes, very much.
Anyway, let's get started. First, remind me of your name.
Clap, clap.
What?
Ismail.
Dr. Ben.
All right, let's put in Ismail. Okay. You remember that?
It just goes away.
Burn.
Okay, then.
Come on. It's not like I can be expected to keep track of everything. So many of you little guys pass through here. It's a miracle I can even remember my own name. Moving on. Don't get happy. There's still work to do. Choose a rod, a fishing rod. This is a fishing RPG, by the way. Great. Choose a fishing rod.
I'd like a spinning rod myself.
I'll go with shredding.
All right. Great choice. Now choose a place to set up camp.
Seashore.
Pond.
All right. I'm just gonna click on this one. You know this place well. At least you think you do. In recent years, the water level has begun to recede, leaving a dry bed of sand. Dead creatures dot the shore, bones of ancient things rising up from the wake, bigger than you. You could walk across them like a bridge, climb their crumbling vertebrae like a ladder. It's colder here than you expect it to be. It smells like a burgeoning frost. All right.
Yeah, because that's blocked. I assumed it smelled like a burger.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I like that. Anything that smells like a burger.
All right. You have caught a viperfish. This is just the definition from Wikipedia. So we don't have to read all of that. Oh. So this one seems particularly ornery and sharp. Just holding it in your hands opens up several cuts. Rivulets of your blood mixed with the fish's. All right, and then the two options are release and devour.
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 Definitely devour.
All right, you feast. You try to, anyway. Not much feasting to be had. You're still hungry in the end. All right, and that's what I have so far. The fish get weirder as the game goes on.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, great. Well, I hope you'll continue working in Twine.
I'll go.
Great.
I just will be reading. I just started something and I'm going to see where it goes. So he ripped the sleeping child from her arms and threw him into the waters below. One moment, the baby boy lay sleeping. The next, he had vanished beneath the water, sinking to the ocean floor. Her body thrown into shock, she was unable to utter a cry. She lost her footing as the woman behind her fell against her with all her weight. The men barked their commands in a language which meant nothing to her. All around was noise and chaos, and the smell of too many men who had spent too many days on board a ship, smelling of piss and ale. The fate of her child having finally reached her consciousness, a wailing, keening noise began to form, coming from the core of her, and she opened her mouth. Sobbing, Justine sat upright in the bed, the grief tearing through her body. The ship's smell still filling her nostrils. She gagged once, twice, and vomited. Stumbling to the bathroom sink, she cupped the water in her hands, letting its coolness begin its work of healing. Whatever was happening to her, this was the third night in a row she had awakened screaming, crying and nauseous, grieving a child she had never born. Each day she went about her life, overbooked and stretched thin by the ticking time clock of life for a modern woman. One phrase echoed in the deepest parts of her mind. Go back and fetch it. Go back where? Fetch what? What are these dreams? Where are they coming from? Up until this point, she would have told you she never dreamed. At the very least, she never remembered her dreams. So dreams of this nature, nightmares really, recurring for 3 days, they had already begun to turn her life upside down. And that's what I've got so far.
Great. And Maggie has already started to get a following for her Twine fiction. How does it feel, Maggie? A stranger liked your work. Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal.
If we're still doing it, I can go.
Yes, we're still doing it.
All right. I have
You all just went silent. Like you had dead air go out
needed
on
like
our
recognition.
broadcast.
I needed like a firing pistol. Okay, so let me share. I did a choose your adventure as well, but it's on a different format because I couldn't understand Twine. But this one has hopefully like a bit of, to me, it felt very old school. Like I would have played like on this when I was like 13. So I'm enjoying kind of vintage vibe.
Good.
I'll open chat. I can kind of see that. We can pick our.
That's it. That I saw you did that for the twine, Alexis, and that's good use of the tech.
Yeah.
So keep your chat open, and we will. You could actually set Zoom up to do votes you could do polls.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay. I don't know if I have time to learn that.
yeah,
for this.
no. I'm just saying, if we're gonna do twines and stuff or choose your own adventure, we might want to set up a polling mechanic.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So this has multiple endings. We could play through and do all of them. I don't know how. It's a matter of time. And if you guys find this funny, if you don't, I'll like slink off into oblivion. But for we'll try out one and then see if we want to do more. So it starts with just you died. Or at least you can assume so, as suddenly you're standing before a skeleton in a cloak whose breath smells faintly of sulfur. What do? Freak out? Maintain the illusion of calm? I'm seeing a lot of votes for punch death. Is that what we're feeling, folks? Alrighty, here we go. What happens? If it loads. Your fist cracks satisfyingly, yet Pyrrhic against his cheekbone. He kills you. But we get a punch card.
Okay.
Thank you. So you died, or at least you can assume so. You went
That's
back in
very
the
funny,
death lotto,
Kevin.
and you got kind of thrown back out before him. He's forgotten you by now. He has a lot of souls. The death lotto takes a while, but you're back. What do? Punch him again. Okay. You already have the punch card. We can imagine another punch, but they didn't give me that mechanic. So for now, here we go. Back in the lotto. Maybe this time you'll learn, or not. We can keep doing this. There's not a limit to repetition.
I am enjoying it so far. Yeah.
That's all I want. All right. We're freaking out. I love that split vote. We need more folks. All right, we're freaking out. You fall to your knees, screaming. Despite death lacking flesh, it is clear he is uncomfortable. Hey, buddy, it's okay. We're accepting comfort, or are we doubling? Oh, split vote. Double down. All righty. You wail, sob, flail. Death is a very busy concept, and as such, he does not have time for this. He kills you. Oh, Maggie, that'll be an option later. He kills you, kindly giving you some time to calm down the death lotto. So you're back in your roulette. You're going. You get spat back out. You're before the skeleton again. Would we like to freak out again? We can romance death. That is an ending. Illusion of calm. Second punch or third punch. Calm. You, Kevin. Spoilers. Okay. I need to decide. Death. Well, death is kind of beyond the concept of monogamy. I respect it. Anyways, so there we go. What are we doing? Freaking out? Maintaining the illusion of calm? All right, we're maintaining the pun. Okay. Voice of God said calm. You look expectantly to the main man himself. Well, I know today is going to be rough for you, but it's usually best to just come out and say it. You've died and gone to hell. So you have three options. Okay, can I speak to your manager? Or, can't be worse than living with my ex-wife. We're feeling Karen-y. Okay. That is precisely why you're in hell. Do we care to punch? We're punching. Back in the death lotto we go. All right. Freak out. Calm. Seventh punch. I don't know. Freak out? All right. Are we doubling down or accepting comfort? All right. We're accepting comfort. You fall and you've sobbed. You pull yourself together. Somewhere your grandma is very proud of you. You realize that she's probably somewhere down here. Grandma side quest, or are we looking at
my grandmother is not in hell?
Maybe we have different grandmas. Side quest. All right. You peek around death. He snaps his fingers at you, the bone actually being quite helpful in that endeavor. So, no grandma side quest for you. You can try. You looked. He said no. We have a task. He has a task. Well, we're doing whatever the hell we want. We can punch him for all I care. So, he breaks the news to you. We've discovered, how do we want to do? Accept, Karen, bad joke. Okay, we're leaning towards neutrality. You may be wondering how you got here. For legal reasons, I can't tell you, as it may give you an aversion that would affect your workflow. So, there's work, or can I get a hint? Split vote. Still split. All right, can I get a hint? Fine. Firing squad. What? Nah, I'm just messing with you. It was a spatula. Okay, or what? We're feeling a what? Yeah, he doesn't care. Right, so back to the point. You'll be given an assignment. He pulls out a clipboard out of his cloak. You briefly question the purpose of said cloak, as you presume he lacks anything to be rude to show. We're hitting on death. Alrighty. If it will. So, got any other death kills you before you can finish your line. This time sending you to mandatory workplace training before putting you back in the death lotto. You will not make sexual comments towards either your peers or boss. For Christ's sake, dude, this is why you're in hell. So, we're back to the main spot. What are we doing? Don't worry, we can try again later. What is our route? All right. I've seen a decent split. One more vote, that'll be the freak out. Okay. What are we doing from here? Accept comfort. Very nice. Either way, you just kind of get through it. Grandma's side quest is more, we can keep that energy of just like, huh? And then he gets you back. All right. What say you? Ex-wife? All right. So, you've died and gone to hell. Can't be worse than my ex-wife. He narrows his eye holes at you. Kills you again. All right. Where are we going? All right. We're maintaining the illusion of calm. Well, we have an urge to punch. We overcome it. All right. He gives you the spiel. What say you? We're going for a neutral, okay? All right. Can't tell you how you died. Okay, we still want that hint. We love that firing squad fake out. Oh, we can go back. We can get something new. There's work? Buddy, I just told you, you're in hell. So you can ask what people in heaven do, or you can accept your fate. We have a vote for fine. 2 votes for fine. Heaven. 2. All right, we're skewing towards fine. So, back to the point. Last time we hit on death, it didn't go well. Are we going to learn some restraint? All right, we're gonna kind of we know we gotta try. We gotta maintain the illusion of the lack of exactly eyebrows, but you don't quite drop the line. All right. You decide you'll have to unpack this urge later in therapy, briefly forgetting that not only do you not have off time, if you had therapy, it wouldn't be covered by health's plan. So, death presents you with the clipboard. Do you read it, or do you try to delay? Read it. All right. Factory worker. Would you like to ask what kind of factory, or would you like to keep reading? I'm seeing some split votes. All right. We may as well ask. It's not like a chain. Death points to the paragraph below the one you just read. The purpose of this factory is not necessary information for you to have. Great. Your job is to turn the crank. What crank? Death snaps his fingers, the bone actually being quite helpful in that endeavor. Exactly. You're both now in a factory machine zigzagging in such a way where you cannot see the other people, though you can kind of intuit that they're there. It's just large enough that your arms don't really fully extend to its height. You gotta kind of hop. So, are we gonna try it, or are we just gonna complain? Try it. Very nice. As soon as you do, death disappears. Are we gonna keep up with labor, or are we just gonna sit right back down? All right, we're sitting. You do, but after a time you begin to get bored. Painfully so. All that's kind of left is to turn that crank. So, you do. Eventually, minutes become hours in the same way the days become months. Time loses all meaning, but you sure do a number on that crank. You wonder if you can work off your time here, or there's a certain point where you'll be relieved of this task. You don't know. You sure hope you're close. You have token of labor. Now, this is the end of this cycle, but we could, again, go back and keep trying. We have other rewards. So it's just entirely a question of time.
Well, let's see. How many folks do we have still to go?
I'm interested.
Great. Okay, well we'll go on, but I think that let's.
Thanks.
What did Toaster Struder think, though? That's what I want to know. I don't really care what we think. Right. You also have a fan. Very good. All right. Okay, who's going now? Dajonea?
Yes, I can go.
Okay, great.
I sent you the story via PDF because I'm on my cell phone until I get a new
Oh,
laptop.
okay. Where did you send it to me?
Via email to.
Okay.
I kept it simple. I made a few NightCafe's AI art.
Okay, so you just want me to show the PDF? Oh,
yeah, you can show the PDF while I read it as well.
Okay.
If I go over 5 minutes, just tell me to stop. If I'm boring, just tell me to stop too. I mean, I wrote a scene.
I'm not going to tell you to stop. I mean, except for when we get to time. I will never stop you because you're being boring. Because, well, maybe I will, but you all have to start figuring that out for yourself. Okay, here we go. There we go. Okay, you can see that? Somebody give me a thumbs up or say yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. All right, the piece is titled Makari's Story. The scene is called Meet Romantha. My name is Dajonea Robinson. Second year, not second year.
Good for you, Dajonea, for remembering to introduce yourself. Everybody else thinks they're so famous they don't even need to say their name or anything. And when Toaster Streeter's like, what is happening? Who are these people? So good for you, Dajonea. Thank you.
Of course. First year, second semester. This is my first time reading the story out loud. So bear with me. They love the idea of me, humans and vampires alike. They are sucked into the periwinkle depths of my eyes. They've indulged and filled their gluttonous bellies with my essence of my deep cocoa skin. My skin is so rich that vampires, humans, and whores alike yearn to use my blackness as a cloak of protection from their sins. Their lust for me doesn't frighten them. The fact that I'm undead acts like liquid gold that covers me like 100 soft fingertips pressed against my entire body. There's a war going on in this new age dead world, and I am the root of it. I am the root of this dystopia. It seems to be everlasting. There has been war since the beginning of mankind. It's inevitable. There's still blood, gore, and terror-filled streets, but it's not like the stories you've read in the history books. Those are filled with lies to make it easier to go to bed at night. The truth is the same as the folklore passed down from generation to generation, blurred messages misconstrued from mouth to mouth. This reality is closer to the truth than you've ever seen in those books of regurgitated lies. It's not a battle of the soul, you see. The public knows that vampires exist. We've been mostly transparent with our visibility within the public eye. Naturally, there have been trust issues with both sides regarding the correct way of life. Humans have created conspiracy theories, one of them being that we infested their chain of command, which most of us certainly have. The real battle is between flesh and blood. Humans are addicted to silic, an elixir that has the same chemical effects as hallucinogens and stimulants. Humans have willfully ingested this drug for the last 50 years, and I created it. Once released into the bloodstream, human's blood tastes better than heaven to a vampire. In fact, it is the closest to heaven a vampire can get. And the ride can be lethally erotic for humans as well. It's a match made in hell. I have the best elixir on these litter-filled streets. I'm not proud of it. It's merely a fact. It is single-handedly the main reason for the blood wars. It is now used by both vampires who consider themselves vegan and mortal beings in search of euphoria in this wasteland. Their goal is self-gratification, and that's exactly what Silk provides. I went for a stroll this muggy evening. It's not an uncommon activity for me to indulge in. Only this time, I wasn't worried about who was pushing out the newest improved elixir. I needed a break from my den. You can't see the stars from the pollution in this deranged city. We're only another 50 years from acid rain, if you ask me. Being on foot in the city keeps me well informed of the world around me and my place in it. The streets will talk to you if you're there to listen to it. I often blend in and move with the shadows, only being seen when I want. It's in my nature. It comes easily. I was on the corner of Thorpe and Lomo when I smelled the decaying scent of two men dressed in dark, baggy clothing. They lurked behind an old mom-and-pop shop, preying on their next victim. The pungent smell of rancid garlic, copper, sweat, and cigarettes lingered. They were disgusting enough to kill for fun. They were about a half a block away from me now, harassing a young, stocky woman with her hands occupied with groceries. They slewed out vile comments to her as they swiftly closed in. She was alone, and they had devilish plans for her. I could taste their intentions riddled through them in the air. For the most part, the woman was able to fight them off. She swung her bag of groceries with all her might while pleading for help. No one answered. No one arrived to save the day. Bright navel oranges escaped from one of her bags and rolled in the oil-slick road during the scuffle. The shorter man of the two sliced her abdomen with a long blade, and she fell to the ground immediately. I don't involve myself in mortal affairs. They typically do not interest me. It isn't uncommon for travesties to happen in this new age, America. It's a part of life, survival of the fittest. There's a level of lawlessness in these streets that require you to trust no one and always keep a quick pace. It's natural selection, if you will. The police, law enforcement, slave catchers, whatever you want to call them, won't protect you here. You're better off handling your situation alone or becoming one of their toys in the end. Vampires have infiltrated these enforcement units, but it's really humans who are the cruelest. Hey, get the fuck out of here, you motherfucker. This doesn't concern the likes of you, the shorter man of the pair said, and pointed his blade in my direction. His nerve. His squat stature reminded me of a thumb. He was the one who sliced the woman. The coward had a predatory smile plastered white on his crater-filled pale face. I was about 40 feet away, and I could smell her blood from where I stood. It smelled unusual. The fear seeped from his pores. It tickled my nose. It made me salivate. His fear naturally aroused me, but not as much as the thought of devouring his wolfish partner. Bro, let's get the fuck out of here, the tall, lanky one said. Why? Look at him. It's 2 against 1, man. We can finish him off while still reaping our sweet dessert. The stumpy man smiled mischievously toward me. I smiled back. Leave the bitch. The sensible. That's Mac. That's the Makari. I watched as the blood left the face of the mini attack dog. He hadn't realized who I was, but he instantly knew exactly what I was capable of. Brown liquid cascaded down his legs and formed a quick puddle around him. He soaked his jean shorts. It was pitiful. I slowly made my way toward them. My large strides erased the space between us. My smile was wide, and my fangs dazzled in the nightlight. The men scurried along with haste and disappeared into the shadows of the night. They left the woman in the street to fend for herself. She lay motionless on the damp street. Her fresh groceries were scattered around her. She had a large slash on her upper abdomen that trailed to her belly button. The blade she was cut with was coated with a poisonous substance. It smelled slightly like silic, only altered. Those low-level scum likely coated the knife with some new elixir created by other pieces of shit and are now attacking people with it. They likely had the hopes that it would make their target manageable to deal with. Who knows what they truly had planned for this woman and other victims of fate? It was an ingenious idea. The skin surrounding the cut was inflamed and bubbly. Infection set quicker than my eyes had seen. The substance sent her body into an anaphylactic shock. I dipped my finger in her wound and tasted her blood. It was indeed fused with my elixir, silic, as a base compound. She needed a blood transfusion, and these hospitals would likely let her die to save their blood supply.
Okay, and why don't we'll wind it up there. Thank you. Let's see.
Do you show the night cafes?
Oh, is it in the PDF?
There are links on the email with the PDF.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that it was not. I thought it was in the document.
Oh.
Stand by. All right, let me share that. You can see that?
Yes.
Got it.
Okay, good, thank you. Do you want to read the captions for us?
Sure, yes. So the one you see is an altered one. It says, she smelled of honeysuckle, magnolia, and blood. Her beautiful brown skin looked like a porcelain doll. She looked beautiful, my personal angel. So I had to alter it because the one below it was a little offensive to me. So I added more of my prose and just altered my prose a little bit. And that's the same line, but less. It said, she smelled of honeysuckle, magnolia, and blood. Her black skin looked like a porcelain doll. And then below that, there's one more, which is a description of the drug. You can smoke it, inhale it, inject it, or even combine it with food. Most people enjoy it either as an edible art or pop it as a vitamin. It single-handedly can cause immense euphoria, hypersensation, distortions of reality, and much more. And those aren't included. That's from
Oh, okay. All right. I want to go through and like them real quick.
Thank you.
No, of course. And I also followed you. And you should all exchange your information, right? Because one of the ways you can get credits in Night Cafe is by having people like your work. So if you all like each other's work, you'll all be giving each other credits. Sure, yeah, of course. Night Cafe it's an app, phone app, or it's also a website that uses an AI, and I'm not sure exactly what AI it's using, but it uses an AI to translate descriptions, prose into images, and they're never conventional images. I mean, they tend to be very impressionistic and peculiar, but some of them are I think very beautiful. And the more time you spend with Night Cafe, the better you get at getting results from it. And I've realized from this and from other experiences I'm having that one of the jobs of the future for writers is going to be learning to describe things to AIs, learning to prompt AIs, because certain classes of AIs work from prompts, right? You tell them a thing and then they try to sort of fulfill the thing. And that writing of prompts is going to become one of the jobs that writers do, and should become good at. And so talking to Night Cafe has become a real passion of mine, and I'm realizing I'll never need an illustrator from here on, because I can almost always get what I want, or at least something good enough to blow up to 8K and then pull it into Photoshop or another program and play with it until I do get what I want. So I'm now my own illustrator, and I literally can't draw a stick man that doesn't look like it was done by a drunk. So, does that do it, Matt? Even more than you wanted, Matt.